Well, welcome to Wednesday to our Mindset Minutes. I'm so excited because I have a special guest here, one of the top leaders in the industry. I've got Christina Whiteley. Let's give it up for Christina. Wow! I'm so excited to have her here. We were just chatting before we went on record, and we realized that both of us did some adventurous moves in our past. Well, her more currently, but we both lived in Mexico. Isn't that wild? Oh, I just think that's so wild. And Christina, you live there right now too, right?
I do. Yeah, I live in Cabo.
Yeah, that is so amazing. What a fun adventure, and how fun is it to have your family to get to enjoy that with you? So I want to take a moment, guys. My name is Joan Robison. If we haven't met before, hey. And if you are watching from my Flip the Switch community, I just want to say thanks so much. Well, welcome to Wednesday to our Mindset Minutes. I'm so excited because I have a special guest here, one of the top leaders in the industry. I've got Christina Whiteley. Let's give it up for Christina. Wow! I'm so excited to have her here. We were just chatting before we went on record, and we realized that both of us did some adventurous moves in our past. Well, her more currently, but we both lived in Mexico. Isn't that wild? Oh, I just think that's so wild. And Christina, you live there right now too, right?
I do. Yeah, I live in Cabo.
Yeah, that is so amazing. What a fun adventure, and how fun is it to have your family to get to enjoy that with you? So I want to take a moment, guys. My name is Joan Robison. If we haven't met before, hey. And if you are watching from my Flip the Switch community, I just want to say thanks so much. I am loving seeing all of your, what would I say, all of your insights and comments around some of my up and coming ideas. So keep those coming. I love that. And if you're here today or watching in the recording, go ahead and take a minute and let me know where you're in from. Where are you out there? And I want to tell you just a moment. I want to take a moment rather and tell you a little bit about Christina. One of the things that I notice when I am online, which can be a lot some days, I notice people that are also online and consistent in their business. And it's no surprise to me that Christina, she's been in the industry, gosh, for about 6 years. She quickly rose to the top of her past company, and she really excelled being a strong recruiter. She had a strong personal business. But what is that really, what is that special sauce? And I have to say, I believe one of those things that she embodies is consistency. When we can be consistent, not perfect, but consistent in our business, meaning people are showing up, they're there every day, people are seeing you, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So if we're not in front of people, gang, we're probably not going to make those new connections and ultimately share our products or our services with people that need those. So Christina, that's just a little insight from me, but we would love to know a little bit more about you and maybe your family, and just give us a little bit of info about you there, girl.
Sure. Well, thank you, Joan, so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so excited to be able to share a little bit with your community because, I just think getting information from different people in different ways can really support a business, because you may hear the same thing from different people and it finally clicks with you, right? And so I got into this industry. My daughter's almost 7. So about 6.5, almost 7 years ago, I got into this industry, hoping that I could spend a little bit more time with her. I was a salon owner. I ran a very, very busy business. I worked every single weekend from April till October. And as my pregnancy progressed, I had a really bad shoulder injury. I had to stop working. And I also realized, wait a second, I don't want to be that mom that isn't available to go to birthday parties, or I can't go to the beach on the weekend, or I can't go camping. And lo and behold, over the last few years, we kept that eye on the prize of, like, we just want to spend more time together as a family. We want to create money around our lifestyle as opposed to working our butts off to take vacations. And I really was passionate about helping other moms be able to see that light and realize for themselves that they can have that too, that they can also create an income around their lifestyle, be at home with their kids, consciously raise their kids, crush it in business, make a massive impact and help people, and also find bits and pieces of their day that they can go and do the things they love. Like, I don't want to give up my beach walk in the morning with my dog. I don't want to give up my $30 massages, like, I don't want to give up those things that I really enjoy. As a mom, we usually sacrifice those things. So we found a way to do it. And thank you so much for the lovely compliment about being consistent. But the truth is, I weaved my business into my brand. I weaved who I am and realized that vulnerability and sharing your life with somebody, sharing your life with your audience, that's your super connector. That's what makes you different from everybody else. And so over the last few years, we've built a pretty big business. My husband was able to come home and be a stay-at-home dad for a while. Now he's getting into real estate down here in Cabo, which I'm really excited about. But it's allowed us the opportunity to chase the things that we love, not just get a job because we have to pay our bills, which is kind of how I grew up. Like, you get a job to pay your bills, right? But I didn't have a vision. And so this industry has allowed me a totally complete, as I wipe the sweat off my face, right? It's allowed me a completely different lifestyle than I had before. And it just made me realize you can chase your passions and monetize them.
Absolutely. I have to say, I'm just stuck on something you said, because it's one of my most favorite things ever, which is, you said, I'm not willing to give up my walks on the beach with my dog. And do you know that I live for the freedom to be able to do those little things like that? And I've been blessed for, 21 years to be able to do that. And I often have thought about, just like anybody, like, okay, what's another stream of income that I could venture down? Anything that has to do with me losing any of that freedom almost gives me like it takes my breath away, because I've been able to do like you, Christina, where I can walk when I want to walk, and I can live and be where I want to be. And my business, like yours, can operate off my phone. And so sometimes I have to just wake up in the morning and go, this is the life you've created, right? And it's such a blessing. Gosh, I thank you so much for being here. And we are really excited to learn more from you and your expertise. What I want to do, I do this on most of my calls, is we draw a little Ignite the Light card. So I'm going to take a minute. You just tell me when to stop. And we'll give the crowd that's roaring out there. Wah! No.
Okay, stop.
Right. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right. And you know what? This is a perfect card for what we're going to talk about today. So for those of you out there that may be taking notes, you might want to write at the top of your notes, be inspired by others and compete with yourself. You ready for the card? This is so great. So rise above your circumstances. My life will always be filled with challenges and circumstances. My life and relationships are richer when I rise to the higher level of living by focusing on love and kindness. When I choose the high road, it does not mean that I give my power away. It actually means the opposite. Flip the switch from feeling stuck to a higher level of living. What would love have me do? Choose the high road and feel better about you. And I'm just going to kick this off by saying that that card right there tells me and reminds me as I read that really my life and the way that it unfolds begins with the way that I feel about myself, with the way I think about myself, and moreover, what is Joan offering to the world? What is Christina offering to the world? So I'd love to just kind of hear your take on just how you allow others to fuel you versus being in that sort of jealousy kind of phase, or where you kind of look at them and maybe you have some great training and you know, I'm going to keep the training because I don't want their team to move ahead of my team, or those kind of things.
Yeah, I like just had the perfect story that came to mind as I listened to that card, and I wrote a couple of notes. You know, I think a lot of how we feel about ourselves and what we're capable of is established when we're kids, right? So it has a lot to do with how you were raised. Now, I was, you know, I never went without anything. I had a really great upbringing. You know, we had a beautiful home, we had vehicles, we had all those things. But I remember, so I went to private school up until grade 8, and then I went into public school. And my dad, when I went into public school, I for my first year in grade 9, okay, I wanted a pair of Guess jeans, right? I wore a uniform up until grade 8. I wanted a pair of Guess jeans. I wanted to be cool for my first year in high school. And my dad goes, there is no way that I am paying $75 for a pair. They're $75, by the way, back then. There's no way that I'm going to pay $75 for a pair of jeans. You're going to Walmart and you're getting a pair of jeans. And I was mortified. I was absolutely mortified. Why? Because all of these kids walked in their cool clothes and their Doc Martens and everything. And I was going to be the kid that had Walmart jeans. Are you kidding me? And I was so embarrassed at the time. I was 13, by the way, that I went out immediately and got a job so that I could buy those jeans. I said, I'm not going to let my circumstance hold me back from getting those jeans and feeling good about myself and going into high school. I'm going to go out and get a job and be responsible for this and make it happen. And that's exactly what I did. Right. And so what's really interesting is that in childhood, we come up with these limiting beliefs, and it could be even from a movie, right? Like a lot of the times in big motion pictures, rich people are portrayed as something negative, right? If you've got wealth, if you've got the marriage, if you've got the house, if you've got the car, oh, you must have stepped on somebody to get that, right?
Sure.
Right. In my upbringing, my dad would sometimes say, and sorry, Dad, but you did, you know, like he'd sometimes say, oh, that guy, that big business owner is a crook. And I said, well, he just bought a wing of a hospital, like just donated a wing of a hospital. I hope at some point in my life that I've contributed enough that I can purchase a wing of a hospital and give back that way, right? And so if I wasn't careful of what my mindset was, I could easily get drawn into that role of comparison. And like, what does she have that I don't? Why am I not, right? We spiral down and we start going, why don't I have that? Well, I bet she's not happy in her marriage. I bet, you know, her kids aren't happy. They're probably little brats. They get spoiled, right? And we start to like talk to ourselves in a negative way. And so my background, by the way, is in the salon industry. And if you want to know gossip, if you
Yeah.
want to know all the dirt, like be in the salon industry. And so I recognized that was taking out the worst part of me, that I was like constantly comparing myself to other people. Constantly there was gossip going on and you knew all this negative stuff. And I was like, this is not the environment that I want to be in. I
Mhm.
want to be in an environment that's positive, that people are growing, that they're learning, that it's exciting for me. And what was really interesting is when, as soon as I changed and turned my envy into curiosity, the
Right.
right people showed up. The right
Exactly.
people said, she's got something and she's willing to work for it. She's not sitting there with her hand out saying, how are you going to serve me? What are you, have you ever had that? Have you ever had somebody come to you and be like, how are you going to help me? Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to help yourself?
Right.
Right?
Well, or I think sometimes in business, when you've had a measure of success, we've heard it in terms of people ride other people's coattails. And I have had people where I've questioned their motive by,
Yeah.
by some of the ways that they've had an expectation of what I need to do for them or what they perceive needs to happen from me. And again, I think, and you really alluded to this, going back to who we are. Who am I and how do I want to show up? When I can take 100% ownership for me, for all the good, for all the shitty things about me, for just the whole thing, but own my own world and own my own life.
Yeah.
Get out of any kind of victim, martyr, or the world owes me. And I don't want to linger on this, but I do think that we're being conditioned to that sort of belief, that the world owes,
Entitlement.
and the entitlement I have noticed is rising. So people like you and me that are leading teams, and for those of you that are leaders out there watching, I mean, now is the time to continue to develop leaders that,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
that really want to learn, that want to be better. I know, Christina, I don't know you very well yet. I hope to know you more, but I know that I can say this for you and me, because just in the small time of talking with you and following you on social, I know that you believe this way as well, which is we're just still developing in our own leadership skills. And we're going to be doing that till the day we die. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't ever really arrive, right? You don't really arrive. You just continue getting better at being you, which is going to lead me to one of the, I'm going to give 3 little areas that I want people to really self-evaluate. And this would also be great to do with some of the key people that you work with to help them become more aware of where they are. And I want to make sure I say this. Sometimes when I touch on a touchier subject, this isn't to make anybody feel badly. It's to bring you into more awareness of how you can develop yourself more and to just own it. I have things that aren't so desirable within my personality that I'm working on, or that
Mm-hmm.
are standing out maybe more than they did 2 years ago. And it's something to look at and go, do I like it? Does it work for me? Or what am I going to do to change it? So the first thing I have here is success about being the best, or is it success about doing my personal best? What do you think on that, Christina?
Oof. Well, as somebody who's a bit of a personal development junkie, I've been doing personal development for 20 years and I have definitely not arrived. I also have an incredible team of people around me. And by what I mean by that is coaches and mentors. I have an excellent counselor that has helped me see the things that are not desirable in me and help me shift my perspective. Right.
Right.
And so having somebody that you trust that you can talk to, and I'm a huge advocate of counseling, by the way, especially after
Yeah,
the last 2 years of what's gone on out there. I think that everybody should have somebody to talk to that's not their partner. Okay.
I
So
agree. And by the way, pay for it. You pay
Yeah,
for what you get. Remember that, right? We don't
100%.
want to go to
100%.
counseling with our best friend who's having the same problem or something, for example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And so I got to tell you, and this might hit some people the wrong way, but the reason that we have these conversations is I'm going to save you like $10,000 in counseling right now. Okay. If I can teach you this lesson that I had to self-realize through a lot of pain, if I
Yeah.
can just teach you this lesson right now, it will get you so much farther ahead. So when we talk about, do we compare ourselves to others? Do we grow? Do we look at and get benchmarks from other people, or do we do it from within? One of the things that has helped me grow the fastest and not think about comparison is turning that little ping of jealousy or that little negative emotion
Mhm.
into a question for myself. Okay, so let me explain. Have a conversation. Maybe you're having a conversation with your best friend and something irks you a little bit about what they said. You're like, why would they say that? Ugh, that bothers me, right? I invite you the next time that happens in a conversation or the next time that thought enters your head when you're scrolling through social media, comparing yourself to somebody else, what
Yeah.
truth in this do I not want to face? What
Mhm.
truth in this is irritating me that is something that may be a truth for me that I do not want to face or I'm not ready to face? Why does this bother me so much? And when I can remove myself from the annoyance of the situation, because it happens, right? Family,
Right.
friends, team, whatever, right? If I can remove
Right.
myself and look down on this as a balcony viewpoint and look down on it and say, Christina, why is that poking at you?
Right.
Oh, it's because you wish you did this or you wish you had this skill. Oh, where can you go get that skill? How could you be
Right.
more like that? How could you figure it out? Right. And you change that little bit of irritants
Yeah.
into something that gives you an action step to move forward.
I love it. And that's going to lead us right into the second little area, because what you're saying with that question, and by the way, I want to repeat it. I love taking notes. I'm like a legal pad junkie. So I wrote here the question. So guys, I'm going to repeat it one more time. What truth in that, meaning what you heard kind of got you a little in the craw, what is it that I don't want to face? That is a great question, Christina. And I think that leads me into one of the solutions that I have used myself. So I often look to other leaders and people that have desirable qualities that I want to develop in me, and I'll use those for fuel, right? So if I'm looking, I mean, it could be anyone or anything, but let's say there's somebody that, is creating, some online course. I did this a while back, and I didn't have all of the knowledge. I didn't know how to do something in a certain way. In fact, I wasn't really familiar with digital marketing. So, like what you just mentioned, instead of stewing about it and going like, oh, that gal's got the best of everything, that my brain doesn't go there today. What my brain goes to is, I want to know that gal. I want to find out who she used and what she did. And then I use that as fuel to help drive me to the next result. Have you ever done things like that?
Absolutely. That's the best way to move forward, right? So many people stay stuck in their crap and stuck
Right,
in their challenge and like, oh, I'm no good at that, right? You cross your
right.
arms and you protest.
Yeah,
But the truth is that when you see somebody that's doing something well, go ask questions. Hey, how did you come up with that team? Who did you hire? Are they, can I hire them? What did it cost you? What did you do? Because you can't have the next level unless you do it yourself, right? And you may
right,
work alongside somebody and hope that it rubs off on you. But until
right.
you grow, until you find the emotional intelligence, until you find the work ethic and take action, it's not going to happen for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Another thing, again, you mentioned about learning some of these things, which I also agree it is in your childhood. And gosh, when we're my age, 55, and I'm not sure how old you are, but not everybody wants to go back and revisit and relive. I get that. But sometimes, again, deepening our awareness and understanding why we believe the way we believe. And then asking ourselves, to me, they're those self-coaching questions. What is it about me? Why do I think that way? Where did I learn that? From what experience did that teach me that? And it could be bad or good. I remember when I was a little girl, like third grade, and my dad and brothers and a big part of the family that I would be around were boys. And I was a teeny little girl, like I was a petite little thing. And these guys were skiing, they're hunting, they're chopping wood, they're, doing all these things. And I wanted more than anything to be around them, right? I liked the energy of my dad and my brother, and they were what I would call like super, super go-getters. They're probably laughing, like go-getters, haha. No, they're like, I almost said balls to the wall. Can you say that? No. Anyway,
I think
right?
so. It's your show. You can say whatever you want.
I could say, okay. But anyway, and now I'm even questioning, does that even mean what I think it does? Anyway, okay. So
I'm going to Google that later.
Yeah, right. I'm going to Google it, I think, right? Anyway, these guys, though, they were go-getters. I remember my dad said to me, Joan, oh my gosh, in life, follow the best of the best. Look at what they're doing. And you just said that. Ask questions. Don't be at all intimidated to reach out and say, how'd you do what you do? Where did you find, or, what was your experience? Because this is the other thing I think, Christina, we look at social media and we go, oh my gosh, that gal's website looks so great. Oh, this, but we don't know where they came from. I mean, in the last 2 years, if I was going to reveal to somebody all of the dips that I went through, they'd probably be like, why do you still do it? And sometimes I ask myself the same question, right?
Yeah.
But you also said you had a vision. And that's where I'm going to end. That's our third thing is, what do you really want? That is one of the most important questions, I think, that we can ask ourselves. And I would say, write this question down, because the majority of you watching will not be able to answer this. You won't, because you don't allow yourselves the time to really think about it. What do you really want? It's a simple question. Are you
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I literally have a tattoo on my foot that says, what do you want? To remind myself every day, what is it that I want? I got to put myself first. I was a people pleaser. I'm a retired people pleaser. I was a people pleaser for many, many years. What do I want? Because if I get what I want, I'm the best version of myself for my family, for my daughter, for my husband, for everyone. And then I can help them get what they want.
That's right. And that,
right?
You know what cracks me up is you and I have a lot of these like commonalities. You got the Mexico, you said something else. I was like, I think like her. I like her, and you got the tattoo. What do you want? Well, I'm going to tell you something. When I read from someone, because to me, again, most of what I learn is either through following somebody, through reading, some book, watching a podcast, and then experiencing it, going out and doing it. And I don't use the word fail. To me, everything is just practice. That's all I'm doing. I'm just teeing it up to practice today at being the best that I can be at me. And boy, some days it gets revealed that I need a little more practice. So I think about that when I heard that question. What do you want? And it wasn't that long ago that I really thought, I don't know in this area. I needed to spend some time to think about it. So I firmly believe that if you're somebody right now where you're looking outside yourself for anything, validation, for, the way to be, all these different things that we tend to look and start comparing, I just want to encourage you to go within and start with asking yourself, what do you want? What is your vision for your business, for your family, for your life? What does it look like? And have you really allowed yourself the gift of taking the time to explore it with a journal, with a pad and paper, just spending 15, 20 minutes, start getting it out there. Because what I believe is that if we can use the success of other people as fuel, if we can use the success and use it as even a benchmark of, I want to develop this in me, you're going to be happier. And it's going to come from a frequency and an energy that's up here in gratitude, being happy for others' success.
Yes.
Maybe you've had it, right?
Yeah, that abundance mindset versus lack, and realizing that if somebody else wins, it doesn't mean that you lose. And that is such an important life lesson. I believe that for every blessing, there's a curse, and for every curse, there's a blessing. And I remember it was many, many years back, I met this woman and she was doing a lecture, and my husband and I went and sat with her, and she's very accredited, and she talked about energy, your highs and lows of energy. And she's like, most people suffer because they have super high highs and super low lows. And she's like, if you can learn to be even Steven, if you can learn that to find joy in every day, find joy in your daily life, but that with every negative thing, there's an opportunity to learn, or there's an opportunity to grow, and it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And then every positive thing you look at and you have so much gratitude because you know that maybe might not have happened, right? Like that, just have so much gratitude that the odds of that happening were probably very slim, but you had something to do with it. That changed my perspective of everything. And that's when I started really focusing on emotional intelligence. And I think that's really a lot of what you're talking about right now is when it comes down to being somebody that is on social media, which, by the way, we're all being triggered. We're all being thrown in the mix with a ton of distractions. What makes you different? And you can't find your difference and your gifts in somebody else. You can't find them there. You have to find them in the quiet moments of your day, in the things that you love, right? Just because we do similar jobs, we do similar coaching programs, it doesn't mean that we're in competition. I bring a different life perspective than you bring. And so what can I learn from you, and what can I give to you that we mutually grow together?
Right. Another thing, this is just spurring this thought, is you mentioned about let's say, for example, let's take you and I, like, you have a story, you have a vision, and yet we do very similar things. And how is it that someone like you and I can use that for fuel and support each other by giving to each other versus, any negative vibes or something like that? Well, something I thought about is we're all really uniquely designed. We all have a story. And I think that I had someone not too long ago, one of my coaching clients, say to me something like, I don't have a story like, this person or that person. And I said, but you do have a story that is unique to you. And what I want to say to everybody out there, and then Christina, I'm going to throw it back to you to close with a few last comments around this, is how can your story be told in a way that evokes that enthusiasm and excitement within you that serves somebody else? Because I just mentioned earlier, I know Christina agrees with me, guys, now more than ever, we need strong leadership, not just in our country, but in the world. And this is a huge opportunity to show love, kindness, and level up in our skills. I like to call it like heart and head, right? There's a huge opportunity for great leadership. People need it now, I believe, more than ever. So let me ask you this. With the information that we shared today, and we shared a lot, what would you go do? What is it that you could do to really elevate your own self? Maybe it's that vision, uncovering the vision. Maybe it's looking and self-evaluating. Where are you in this process? Are you somebody that feels excited for people? Or are you somebody that makes an excuse of why you're not doing it because you see someone else doing something? But Christina, I'd love to have you kind of throw in your last tips or last suggestions, or thoughts, so that they can also get your perspective as well.
Well, absolutely. And whenever I speak with somebody, I try and listen as much as possible and then show up for them authentically without always thinking of the response, right? So I appreciate this question, because I think authenticity is a huge piece of how we show up and who we can become. But in that, I remember the first time that a mentor said, you should ask for feedback. And I'm like, why? What if they say something bad? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want feedback. Are you kidding?
Right.
And no, she's like, but she's like, you will learn how to sort the things that don't serve you and let go of the rest. And,
Right.
most people, they evaluate their lives. They evaluate what they do once a year when New Year's resolutions comes up, right? Like, that's like the average thing to do. This is what we do, right? But people that are good, they're evaluating every single month. Hey, what can I start? What can I stop? And what can I continue, right? How do I need to adjust and move forward? Now, people that are great, they do that weekly. And people that are excellent, they go to bed at night and think, what could I have done today that would have gotten me farther ahead that I can do tomorrow? And so it's a constant evaluation of self. And like letting, so you say uncover the veil, like just letting go of it all and realizing you are here in a space where you are meant to grow and learn and find joy in daily life. And that anything that happens is just an experience or an opportunity to do that, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. And so when you can self-evaluate and not take yourself seriously, laugh about stuff when it goes sideways, or like maybe you have a cry or a meltdown for 5 minutes and then you're like, okay, I'm over it. Now we can move on. Maybe somebody says something nasty to you and you're like, ugh, and then you're like, no, that's not mine to own. That's theirs, right? You can see it for what it is and be able to use that to fuel you forward to get better. And really, that's what it comes. I really believe in that, and that's what it comes down to.
I love that. And I want to say one last thing. The energy that we give away when we're looking at some situation in a way that is limiting or critical or just plain ugly, the energy that we give away takes from us. And I know that for me, I've had a couple things recently where I told you this too, Christina, I literally looked around and I'm like, am I on candid camera? Like, there were some major things. They were little things, but they kept happening, right? Maybe I was manifesting those things, but I had to do an adjustment with my thinking, because it was the 1, it was the 2, it was the 3. And we know when that happens, it's not the problem out there. It's the way I'm responding or reacting to it. And so I just want to say, Christina and I have been doing this for a long time, but we still have days. We still have things, right? And we're not perfect, but we're showing up, we're practicing at our lives, and we're enjoying them, right? I mean, geez, we've got to really enjoy. So I just want to wrap up. I want to thank you again for joining in all the way from Cabo. And I really appreciate it. I know you just got back from a vacation and had your family bringing on in the groceries and all that stuff. So thank you for popping on, Christina. And really, to all of you out there, oh, yeah, this has been great. I'd love to have you back again. And for all of you out there watching and listening, thank you for joining. Go to joanrobison.com/blog for a little bit more details around being inspired by others, but competing with yourself. Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks, Christina.
Bye. Thank you.